Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. Today we've got a very fun episode. We've got WrestleMania coming up next week. So I thought it was a fun time to do a WWE themed topic. You all voted on WrestleMania matches, which is going to be a very interesting, and there's definitely going to be a lot of arguing possibly. But I've got a good panel here with me, and making his debut on Rankum is Tim Smith. Tim, how's it going? And what match are you looking forward to next week?
It's going pretty good. I may or may not have gotten off work. I'm here because Cody's car broke down. I'm supposed to get him car parts, but the son of a bitch doesn't know what car he has, so I'm dealing with that. But other than that, I'm great, Malcolm. And I think the match I'm looking forward to most is probably, I would have to say, the WWE Championship with Kofi and Daniel. I want to see the conclusion of that story. I think that's the one most I'm looking forward
to. Also here is Cody. You haven't seen him in a few weeks, but Cody's here. What match are you looking forward to next week?
Mania's not really exciting me. I mean, they're just doing the 30 storyline for Kofi and Bryan, which is odd. It's like he got hit in the head too many times, and now Bryan doesn't remember that he was Kofi Kingston a couple years ago. But at least we don't have to see any more gauntlet matches, because, man, those were overused for a while, right? I think Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda. I mean, I think they kill it every time they're out there. Becky Lynch is literally stone cold right now, so that one sounds like a good one.
Also here with me is Brooklyn. Brooklyn, how's it going, and what match are you looking forward to next week?
So, it's been a hot minute since I've been on Rankum. Similar to Tim, I am also just getting off work. I've been fucking tits deep in beef. But yeah, most excited for WrestleMania.
Gosh, that sounds terrible. I'm sorry, I couldn't let that quote go by. Don't.
But yeah, most excited match I'm looking forward to at WrestleMania. I'm gonna agree with Cody. The triple threat. I'm just hoping that it's more so that WWE doesn't fuck it up like they have a lot of their multi-man matches in the past.
Triple threat.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just more so I'm hoping that there isn't a car crash. That's what I'm hoping. So
give it time.
Also here is Sandy. Sandy, how's it going, and what match are you looking forward to?
It's going good. I am sort of in agreement with Cody. I'm not super jacked for this WrestleMania. I usually do a big thing. I usually order my boneless wings, and I sit there and I chew my face off for 5.5 hours of pre-show and then 90,000 hours of regular show. And then there's always an after show of some type afterwards. What am I looking forward to this time? I don't care about the Kofi Daniel Bryan feud. Cody said it already. It's exactly what Daniel Bryan was 5 years ago, so I don't give a shit. Becky Lynch is literally the most overrated wrestler in the history of wrestling. She is garbage. I don't care about that match whatsoever. I'm happy that Charlotte won the SmackDown championship, because Asuka is absolutely useless on any show that she's on. She's never there. I don't like the turn that Ronda Rousey's taken. It doesn't matter to me whatsoever. The actual person that I think is actually doing the best job as a heel is Charlotte Flair. She's been one of the best heels that the female division has ever seen. And it's fantastic what she's doing.
She's her dad. It's not skill. That's copycat.
Yeah, well, yeah. Guess what? You said it earlier. Becky Lynch is just a lighter. She's just a lighter, more thin version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And
It's gonna be a long friggin' night.
Well, no, because we're not going to actually talk about this WrestleMania for most of tonight. You know what? The actual match that I'm kind of looking forward to, just because I want to see how Seth reacts to it and how he handles a much larger opponent like in Brock Lesnar. I'm kind of looking forward to that match, and I hope that Seth strips Brock so I never have to see him again, because he is the worst ever. So, just horrible.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's one of those things that I'm kind of in the same boat as mostly. Like, this WrestleMania is a mix of interesting matches. Whether or not a lot will be good is the other thing. I mean, even though I'm also not a big fan of Becky Lynch as a wrestler myself, I am looking forward to the women's triple threat. Just for the reason of, especially just wondering what's going to happen now that you've got two champions in there, because we'll probably find it this week whether it's going to become a winner takes all or what happens. I don't think it's going to be a unification match though, as Brooklyn predicted on Late Night. But anyway, one thing I'd like to have started liking to do is I'm going to do the top 5 things that you fans voted from last week's topic, which was horror movies from 2000s to now. And the fan votes for that one was, at number 5, Saw came in. At 4, we've got It Follows. At 3 was Don't Breathe. At 2 was Cabin in the Woods. And everyone agreed with our number 1, which was It 2017. But anyway, onto this topic. How the show works is we do a roundtable discussion. Everyone will throw out a match that they think deserves to be in the top 10 WrestleMania matches, and then everyone else votes on whether it should get in. And Cody, you're looking a little bit confused there.
Do you say top
That's
10 or
not
top
a first.
12?
Top 12 is what I meant to say.
Oh, I'm like, did you touch him? Because my list just went down.
I knew exactly what he was going to ask, and I just sat there and watched the confusion face on his thing, and it's so great. 10 seconds in.
No, I just left him with the confused face to take a screenshot of it later and do it.
Nice.
This. but anyway, I'm going to throw it over to Cody first. Cody, what match do you think deserves to be in the top 12?
This isn't even a question. This comes from the best WrestleMania of all time. It's not even close. There's not another one. Nothing has touched it, and that is WrestleMania 17. WrestleMania 17, Rock versus Austin. Regardless of how the match ends with the screw job and the terrible thing that transpired with Austin turning heel and siding with McMahon, the back and forth, the selling of both people's moves, the chair shots. Rock sold moves better than anybody else in wrestling, and Austin brought out the best in him. It was the second time that they met, and it was way better than it was in 15. So Rock versus Austin 2, WrestleMania 17 is my first nomination.
Brooklyn, what do you say about Rock versus Austin 2?
This is one of the no-brainers for the list. You think about one of the greatest trilogies in wrestling history. It is The Rock versus Austin. Some argue what's the best one, but I think this is like a textbook one to have on a top 10 list.
Tim, what do you say about Rock versus Austin 2?
Yeah, I mean it's a no-brainer because as you saw, I pretty much took that match off the ones I had listed. Fuck you, Cody. But yeah, it is a great match, enjoyable, especially towards that story of the second time they went at it at WrestleMania. Just the conclusion of that story and that match that they told that conclusion in was beautiful. That's a no-brainer.
Plus, they made Limp Bizkit relevant with check.
And with that, Rock vs. Austin 2 does make the list. Sandy, what would you have said?
I still had it on my list. I still had it at number 1. I didn't know who you were going to go to first because I wanted to get one in that I absolutely knew Cody would vote yes for, and that was going to be my first one that I brought up because it is literally the best match. It had one of the best build-ups, and for a substantial amount of time. The production team did such a great job with the vignettes, with the My Way from Limp Bizkit, and the you know, it was so good. Just it doesn't matter if I listen to that song nowadays. I don't think of Limp Bizkit. I think of WrestleMania 17. Cody was right again. Rock literally sells the stunner better than almost anybody other than Mr. McMahon, or Shane for that matter. But The Rock is definitely the one that makes it look the most real and relevant and painful. So this would have absolutely been on my list, and it's still going to be on my list.
And yeah, I would have totally suggested this as well. Like, this is one of the no-brainers. But yeah, there's not much more I can say that hasn't already been said about it. But Sandy, your vote didn't count last time. What is the first match you're going to throw out?
So I'm going to go a little bit ways back, not too much farther, but I think one of the best matches that really solidified this person as somebody that was going to run with the company and take it on his back and literally be the future is WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart in a submission match. It's the famous match where we got Stone Cold passing out with the blood dripping down on his face and never actually submitting, but passing out due to the pain while he was in the sharpshooter. I thought Bret did a fantastic job all the way through this storyline of becoming the not necessarily the villain, but not the person that everybody was cheering for. And I thought that build was really, really great. But this match in its entirety was so back and forth up until that very end. And you could literally see a star being born at that point in time. So my vote is WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold versus Bret Hart in a submission match.
Yeah, I'll go first on this. This is one that I didn't get around to sort of rewatching before I got to this match, so I don't remember it clearly. I've got another Bret Hart one on the list, but I'm probably going to say no to it just because I don't really remember it. I'm not saying it's not a great match, I just don't remember it. I'm going to go to Cody. Cody, what do you say about Stone Cold versus Bret Hart?
So Stone Cold's my favorite wrestler of all time. This is the one match that booking makes no damn sense. No way in hell should Austin ever been in a submissions match against Bret Hart. But they made it happen. Hitting the head in the bell. Ken Shamrock's the referee in this match. It's a lot of weird things that happen. And I don't think we're like doing a quota list like, oh, well, this person's on the list this many times or what. But I will say, on a rewatch of this match, I think I'm kind of with Malcolm that there are two Bret Hart matches that are better than this one. And it's got an iconic moment, but the overall match is not that strong. So I'm going to give it a no vote. But I actually, it was a close cut.
Brooklyn, what do you say about Stone Cold versus Bret Hart?
I'm actually going to vote yes. I'm voting yes to this purely because it does something that you don't really see a lot in matches. You have that double turn where Stone essentially turns face and Bret turns heel, which you haven't really you don't really do. It's fucking weird that Ken Shamrock is a guest referee. Like, in theory, if you're going to tell somebody about this match, they're probably you're fucking high. What are you doing here? Why are you putting Ken Shamrock as a guest referee for a submissions match featuring Stone Cold against Bret Hart? But it works. I think there's a lot of iconic moments, so I'll give it a yes.
That's fair.
Tim, it's down to you. What do you say about Austin versus Bret Hart?
I loved that match. I really did, especially seeing Austin grow into his character in the 90s when I started really getting into wrestling. But with Bret Hart, I think I know what match you guys are talking about, and I have that on my list. And I think that one is a better match overall with him. So I would say no on him versus Austin. But granted, him versus Austin is still a great match, and I would put it into my top 15, just not in my top 12.
And with that, Austin versus Hart doesn't make the list.
A little impressed.
But I'm going to go over to Tim. Tim, what is the first match you're going to bring up?
Well, you see, Sonny, WrestleMania came around in 1986, and I'm going to pick the first match I saw.
No, a match which is another Bret Hart match, but it's from WrestleMania 12. It's him versus Shawn Michaels in the 60-man Iron Man match, which I thought that is just two wrestlers going at it for that 60 minutes that built up to those two in the feud that they had, and they told it great with the storytelling of the wrestling the technique in that match going 60 minutes. And to me, that one is one of my top 3.
Cody, what do you say about Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart?
Yeah, I think matches nowadays, they've almost, I didn't say they've done everything and you can't have those moments, but like the tie, the breakdown, them coming out and having to restart the match, the boyhood dream, the classic announcement, Shawn coming down from the thing, and that battle between two technicians. You don't see that anymore in wrestling. And it's hard enough to sell a match for 20 minutes. It's hard enough to sell a match for 40 minutes. But for an hour plus and keep people engaged, yeah, this is one of the greatest. I think it's harder to rewatch because it starts slower, but it finishes so strong. So I have to give it a yes.
Brooklyn, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels is on the table. What do you say?
I'm gonna say yes, purely for the exact reasons that Cody said. It's very hard to sell, very hard to keep a crowd entertained for an hour straight, and you have two technical wrestlers. One would sort of turn into a bit of a brawler with Shawn Michaels. He became a bit more of a high flyer later in his career. But yeah, once again, to have two technical wrestlers at the time sell people for an hour, where it's hard to do with that style. I think that speaks volumes. So I'll give it a yes.
And Sandy, what would you have said about Austin versus HBK versus Bret Hart?
I actually have more Shawn Michaels matches on my thing than either Stone Cold or Bret Hart. This was absolutely on there. They already said it when you're trying to like sell a match. It's one thing to try to sell a match on Raw for an hour. It's a whole different story to sell a match and keep people that interested at WrestleMania for an hour. And so on just its merit and its match, it gets on the list just because it doesn't happen anymore. We don't see these Iron Man matches anymore because the crowd nowadays is so, they wouldn't stand for it. They wouldn't be able to be there for an hour. But the crowd back at WrestleMania 12, they knew what they were seeing was special. I mean, Cody mentioned it right from the get-go with Shawn coming down out of the rafters. And then two literal technicians, people that know the wrestling game and could work with each other so well. And before the feud ever happened between them, Shawn and Bret were really, really close and worked really, really well together. And I think that's overshadowed a lot by the screw job, but they had a great wrestling relationship and it showed in that match. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, this was one of the Bret Hart matches that I had on my list as well. This was one of the no-brainers, and I believe this was back in the day when the Manias were just 3 hours, not 4 hours as they are now, and so like to just have the last hour be a big brawl like match is just it was just done well. But yeah, I'm gonna go to Brooklyn. Brooklyn, what is the first match you're going to bring up?
So I think for WrestleMania, a lot of matches that get overlooked are tag team matches. There's not a lot to choose from, but the ones that are great are fucking unreal. So I'm gonna go to TLC 1, which is WrestleMania 15, Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys in a TLC match for the title. This is one that you think about, like three Hall of Fame tag teams. You would think about like the pinnacle of tag team matches moving forward are often cited back to that match there. I believe also, like, you think about like spot monkeys, and yes, you could say this is more so like spot and spots, but the way that these guys throw themselves around for the crowd, and having, I believe it was Edge and Christian winning overall, I think solidifies as one of the greatest tag team matches in WrestleMania history.
I have a clarification question. WrestleMania 15 did not hold the tag team.
Do you mean WrestleMania 2000?
WrestleMania 2000.
17
was the triple ladder match. WrestleMania 17 was the first TLC match.
Yeah.
Which one are you referring to?
I'm referring to the first.
2000 is just ladders. WrestleMania 17 is the spear from the top where Jeff Hardy goes down and dies.
I'm talking about the spear from the top.
So 17. We're going 17.
Yeah, sorry, 17 again.
You're good. I was just making sure we were on the
Yeah.
same page because
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
back-to-back years.
I was going to bring up the same thing. So
Okay.
But anyway, Cody, what do you say about the triple threat TLC match?
Yes. Good thing he brought that up because the only one that you can ever bring up from the WrestleMania 2000 is the Hardcore Invitational. That's the best 10 minutes of wrestling you'll ever see in your life when people get hit with stop signs and shit. But yes, this match is literally this is insane. This match shouldn't exist. Like, they created an entire pay-per-view about it now, and it's never been duplicated. It's never even been close. I thought when they brought the Dudley Boys back that we were getting close to maybe a resurgence of the triple threat, but again, never happened. But yes, this is a clear-cut choice. These are the greatest tag teams of the 2000s, and Brooklyn's 100% right. Tag team wrestling. When he said that, I was like, well, he's only got one option because WWE hates their tag teams 100%. Does not sell them well, and even when all four of them were when New Day introduced the Hardy Boys and the Hardy Boys came back and won the title, still was a shitty match. Like in the scale of all ladder matches, it wasn't up to the level of everything else. But WrestleMania 17, which I still say is the best match WrestleMania of all time, this match is also on the same card as Rock and Austin. That's insane. So yes, this gets a clear vote.
Sandy, what do you say about the triple threat TLC match?
it's one of the greatest things you'll ever watch. There is so much mayhem in that match. There are so many bodies and body parts flying around in that match. You don't know who's getting hurt and who's about to get hurt. Because that's the only two choices. Somebody is going to get hurt, but somebody's already hurt and lying outside with 20 ladders on top of them or something along those lines. It was so much just destruction of human anatomy that it has to be on this list. And not only that, but the trust that all three of these teams, that's 6 people trusting each of the other 5 with their very lives. Because if you're talking somebody's dropping from 20 feet up in the air with another person on their body all the way down to the floor, that takes some trust. So, and it's a great match. And it's a great match. And like Cody said, it's part of the greatest WrestleMania. And think about this. Stone Cold and The Rock stole the show. And yet this match is still in there. So that tells you exactly just how good. If you've never watched a WrestleMania before, you go and watch this WrestleMania. It's just that easy. So yes, all the yeses.
And with that, it does make the list. Tim, what would you have said?
Yeah, it would have been. I was a big Hardy Boy tag team fan back during this time. I loved seeing the Hardy Boys, their style of wrestling, what they did, and especially their best matches were always with Edge and Christian, with the Dudley Boys, because all three of these teams brought something special and unique at that age in wrestling for tag teams. And when you put all three of them together on a WrestleMania and you threw in TLC, shit got real. Jeff Hardy could have died from that spear, and it was like what Sandy said, just chaos everywhere, but it was just beautiful chaos in motion of all three of these teams giving it their all. And I would say, to me, it was the best match of that card. I still love Rock and Austin, but I love that match more because of, and I know, Cody, you probably are going to disagree, but I love that match more than the Rock and Austin. Rock and Austin was second for me, but I love that match more.
You rat bastard.
But yeah, I'm also a really big Hardys fan. Like they've been my favorite tag team ever since I've gotten into wrestling. And this is one of the first matches that I rewatched. I watched for the first time as soon as I got into wrestling and sort of got into Hardys, because I started in getting into wrestling like about 2008, which was about 7 years after this. But I was told I had to watch this match because it's one of the great matches. I ended up watching the whole WrestleMania anyway when I put it in. But yeah. Anyway, it's back to me, and I'm going to go for one of the wrestlers that is probably a staple of WrestleMania that has had quite a lot of matches. He's already been mentioned once so far. And I'm going for Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair. This was one of the ones which this is a more recent one than what we've got on here so far, but this is one that when Ric Flair was going on this big crusade, like going, as soon as I lose another match, I'm going to retire. And everyone was like, at this point, no one was sure that anyone would ever beat Ric Flair and force him to retire until Shawn Michaels did do it. Because Ric Flair, I know I'm probably messing up some things from what I remember from this, but I'm pretty sure Ric Flair said, sort of leading up to this, that he wants Shawn Michaels to be the one to retire, and I think Shawn Michaels pushed back against it for a little bit because Shawn didn't want to be the one to force Flair to retire at all. So, but yeah, Ric Flair versus HBK is what I'm throwing on the table first. Cody, what do you say about Flair versus Shawn?
Malcolm, we normally don't get along on this the show. You're normally wrong about most things, but this is when you're correct. This is my next choice. I don't think it's actually the best flawless match, but the reason why Shawn Michaels is on a bunch of our lists because they call him Mr. WrestleMania for a reason. He puts up the best matches. Everybody claims Undertaker, and I get it, but I think Shawn is still the best WrestleMania performer by miles. That ending moment when Shawn looks at Rick in the eyes and tells him he loves him and then kicks him in the face to put his career down, it's an insane moment. It's storytelling through wrestling, and you don't get those. Flair was always a dominant wrestler, and he came to the end of his career, and they did that angle, the next match you lose, and he actually went out on WrestleMania. It was a great moment. It was so cool. Yeah, this match is epic. It makes the list.
Sandy, what do you say about HBK versus Ric Flair?
So this match does not make the list for me. It's a great moment. The match is horrible. It's horrible. Ric Flair can barely move around. Shawn Michaels has to do everything in the match, and Shawn Michaels is great, but we were told before we did this not to pick moments but matches, and this match as one of the best matches in WrestleMania history does not even come close. Shawn Michaels is fantastic. Rick is old. He can't move. He do anything. The only thing that anybody remembers out of that match is I love you, super kick to the face, and it's over. That's it. The match itself is, so for me, it gets a no.
Tim, what do you say about Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels?
Cody, I love you, right?
Yeah. Remember, we're rooming together in a couple weeks. Just let you know.
I already said I got the couch, bitch, so I don't have to worry.
Yeah, so I can set you on fire.
You wouldn't do that to Nancy shit. I think there's one icon versus icon match that brought it better, but Shawn did a lot of that match, like what Sandy said, because Flair was old and over that hill with his age, and he couldn't do like what he did back in his day. It was an iconic moment with the super kick, I love you, what have you. But in matches, I would say no. Going on the match base because of the wrestling, Shawn was phenomenal in it, but Flair could not bring up to that standard. And I think it kind of took a couple more years off of Shawn's in-ring career, honestly. But I would say no.
Brooklyn, it's down to you. What do you say about Shawn versus Flair?
All right, let's talk this out. This match loses its edge because of Ric Flair joining TNA a couple years later, but I am going to vote yes because is this a top 5 WrestleMania match? No. Is this top 10? Sure.
Absolutely.
I think this is higher if Flair is done for wrestling for good. I think it's good.
TNA?
I think it's a final curtain call for him. You could tell throughout the matchup that both wrestlers had fun, but I don't think it's quite. This will be a good bottom, Peter.
So Shawn Michaels. So Shawn Michaels and decrepit old skeletal Ric Flair beats out Stone Cold and Bret Hart in the coronation of Stone Cold into being the leader of the Attitude Era.
That wasn't
you
why
guys
he was
suck.
the leader. That wasn't later. That's King of the Ring. He turned around when he became King of the Ring.
I just want to go through our Rankum WrestleMania matches and talk about this comment that was made. Please remember, this is matches, not moments. I don't want to flip out on Paul. Yeah, 20 minutes of boredom and guardum. He didn't move anything. He had to be thrown all over the ring by Shawn Michaels. This is bullshit.
He didn't want to vote for yours because your Harry Potter questions.
That is bullshit. That is not even anything to do with that. Moments versus matches from the man himself said it.
That match is epic.
2 seconds of it is epic.
Wait.
I love you.
Pick up the Hardcore Invitational. You're all gonna lose your mind.
God.
But anyway, Cody, it's your turn to nominate something.
Oh, it's back to me. Oh. So,
hey, Goldust versus anybody at a WrestleMania moment. Hey, let's do that. Woo! He showed up and he was all glittery.
Okay, so my next one. I am going with another Shawn Michaels match.
Oh, wow.
But this match is, again, it's back and forth on which one do you choose. Because there's 2 of the same opponent. But mine is, I think, the best match that has ever been done at Mania.
Oh, come on, Cody. Don't let me down.
Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. Streak versus career. Yes. I think this match, they sell it so well. Oh, wait, is that the right one or the wrong one?
No, that's the right one.
That's the second one.
Okay, second one, yes.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
This match, literally, they sell it so well. These are the 2 biggest. And the build-up to this Mania against Shawn needing to beat him. And he wanted a match, and Undertaker keeps telling him, no, it's not happening. And then he'll say he'll put his career on the line, and this match goes back and forth. Absolutely love this match. I think it's storytelling, again, through matches. Some people on the panel like that. Some people hate it. But this is when the Undertaker could still move and still be the Undertaker. That's my vote.
Brooklyn, I'm going to go to you first. What do you say about Shawn versus the Undertaker?
So while I was showering before the match, I was pondering between which of the two I would pick, which child was my favorite. I originally had this one, but then as I sat back, I was like, if you take away the promos leading up to this and you have just the match, I don't know if it's as good as the first one. Because the first one's pretty gosh darn flawless. So I am going to say a slight no.
I'll vote yes for the other one.
Sandy, what do you say about HBK versus The Undertaker 2?
Okay. So all of the Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker matches are good because The Undertaker is still able to do something. The Triple H version Undertaker matches that came a couple of years, 3 years afterwards, The Undertaker was, and then you got the Lesnar match. The Undertaker's done. He does not have the capacity anymore to do a full match without somebody else carrying him the entire way through. And that's why we saw Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker, which was one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history, because they were both blowed up and sweating and breathing and couldn't sitting down for half the match. It was just garbage. I agree with Brooklyn and Cody. I love the retirement angle because I'm a big storyline guy. I'm a less of the match guy, but I love the story talk of it. But the first match between The Undertaker and Shawn is actually a more technically better match throughout its entirety. I enjoyed the build up to the second match more because it actually had like really, really high stakes in it and it was more emotional. But from a pure wrestling standpoint, I think the first match is actually a better Shawn Michaels Undertaker match. So I'm going to just slightly say no on this one.
Tim, what do you say about HBK versus Taker 2?
I think it's kind of already been said because, yes, the build-up for it was a good angle, career versus streak. But the first one was done so beautifully and epic with light versus dark, good versus evil. And I think that one had more appeal with Shawn going against The Undertaker than the second one, because I think at the second one you kind of knew the outcome. You knew Shawn wasn't going to win, and the first one was just perfect with both of them because they're both at that age. They can still perform, but they're not young anymore. So it was like a good even level for them. And I think the first one to me is better than the second one. So I would say no based on that.
And if that HBK versus Taker 2 doesn't make the list, I personally would have said yes to this. I like them both. I like them. I like them both very equally. And honestly, I'm surprised that Brooklyn didn't say in his no that Shawn came out of retirement last year before the Crown Jewel, which I'm surprised he didn't use that against it.
Malcolm, by the way, taking away the save rule is the worst thing you ever did. Worst thing you ever did.
I agree.
But anyway, Sandy, it's back to you.
See everybody out there in TV land watching this right now. This is the conundrum that I have every time that I'm on one of these rank things with Cody, is that I have like 5 that I want to bring up, but I have a feeling that at least one of these ones, but I don't know which one it is one he's just going to absolutely hammer in the ass. So
that she said.
I am going to say that for my next pick, I'm going to pick WrestleMania 10. And the match in the WrestleMania 10 that I'm going to pick is the very first Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon ladder match for the Intercontinental title up on the little thingy for them to get. And this match to me it set the standard for ladder matches until later on when they got better. But this match, nobody had really seen this before. It was like it wasn't there. So to see two of your favorite guys, one relatively a high flyer versus Razor, who was more of a bruiser guy, but both of them putting themselves in danger and risk and just having it be a great match technically as well, is why I would choose this match for my next pick. So Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10 ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, this is an easy yes for me. This is a match I do enjoy a lot, and this is one that even when I just recently rewatched it, I got the same amount of joy for it than what I did when I first watched it. When I was getting into it, I did a whole streak of watching a whole lot of Manias in a row when I started getting into wrestling and all that. But anyway, Tim, what do you say about Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels?
This is going to be a no for me. This was my 14th pick when I went through all the lists, but it wasn't in my top 12. I had to take it out for another match. Still good, but not in my top 12. I did not have it in the top 12. I had it actually as honorable mentions whenever we do those, but I did not have that in my top 12. It's still a good match regardless, but not in my top 12.
Brooklyn, what do you say about HBK versus Razor Ramon?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, this was on my list for things to be on here. I think this is one that is often overlooked in terms of matches in general. You could argue this is possibly the greatest IC match ever, but there is one that is far superior. Yeah, I think to sort of echo the statements of Sandy is that this is the first for WrestleMania for matches in general. Like here, two workhorses of the league take this thing and make it exciting. And I think they did that well. And I think it's why we still have ladder matches today, is because they could have made it. This could have been easily been boring, but it was great. So I'll say yes.
And with that, Razor Ramon versus HBK does make the list. Cody, what would you have said?
Hell no. This is the classic argument I absolutely hate in this. It doesn't matter what we rank. Just because it was first does not mean it's the best. I don't care what it set the standard for. Mania has had so many ladder matches from 2000 on. We haven't even included a Money in the Bank ladder match. Oh, the classic HBK with his foot caught in the rope and piece of shit. This match is boring. It doesn't have anything. They jump from the middle of the ladder. They literally jump from the middle of the ladder and I did a press. It's one of those stupid arguments that I can't stand. Like when we're ranking Disney. Snow White came out first. Got to be on the list. No, it doesn't. They've done it better. They can move on.
Actually, it was the very first time that anybody had jumped off the top of the ladder.
It doesn't matter. You literally have a list of matches that have done it way better.
Oh, I know.
Times, but it was first. So first makes the list.
That's not why I picked it.
Guess what? Here comes Roddy Piper and Mr. T because it was the first main event.
Oh, it was a boxing match, so that makes it go in there.
Oh, but anyway, Tim, it's back to you. What's the next match you're going to bring up?
It's funny because the next match I had was the first Money in the Bank match with RVD, Bobby Lashley, Chuck Finley, or Fit Finley.
That wasn't the first one.
That's not the first.
Oh, that's not the first. Okay, that's the one I had, though, was WrestleMania 22 Money in the Bank. And Flair and Benjamin. Granted, Flair is horrible in that match, but the other stars are very good in that match. And RVD coming out to win in that match, that was one of mine that I had on there. But
Sandy, what do you say about Money in the Bank from WrestleMania 22?
It's not that I don't like that match. I do. I like all the Money in the Bank ladder matches because I think they're interesting. But I think that there's a Money in the Bank ladder match that if we're gonna put one of them on here, one of them is way better. So I have to vote no on this one just because I think that there's a better ladder match if we're gonna do that one. So.
Cody, what do you say about the Money in the Bank match from Mania 22?
Yeah, if you would have said WrestleMania 21, you'd have said the correct one. That's the very first one. WrestleMania 22 is one of the worst Money in the Bank ladder matches for the simple fact Bobby Lashley's scared of heights. Ric Flair jumps off, gets suplexed off the ladder, and literally, I think, shatters his back or something because his leg does not go straight anymore.
Doesn't go straight. It's like crooked.
It's so awkward, this match. Like, Bobby Lashley's, I think, one of the people they're trying to push, and he gets up to, like, the middle and just stands there and then gets a powerbomb and takes the stiffest powerbomb in wrestling history. He gets pulled, and he tries to hold on. He literally holds onto the ladder, and his hands get ripped, and he gets powerbombed on
Badly.
hard.
It's fair, but I still love it. But it's fair.
I get it. I like going back to watch it because of just the botched angles and the botched spots. But no, WrestleMania 21 is the correct Money in the Bank choice, so I have to give it a no.
Brooklyn, what do you say about Money in the Bank 22?
No, because whenever Edge wins, that's the correct answer.
That's 21.
21.
Yeah, I would have said no to it too, but this is one of the Money in the Bank matches I don't remember that well. Oh, the only thing I remember is that Rob Van Dam won it. So
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it's Brooklyn. Back to Brooklyn. What is the next match you're going to bring up?
All right. Let us paint a picture here. The WrestleMania is WrestleMania 3. Two icons go head to head. It is Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Just kidding. It's Steamboat versus Savage. Steamboat versus Savage is the best match of WrestleMania 3. Not so much.
Literally, Cody and I were just about to blow Mount Vesuvius right here, right? You know that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted to get a reaction. Not so much stars not so much stars at the time, but you think about two workhorses putting on these pretty well the best IC match ever, and just seeing how a wrestling match can be put together. People who aren't really once again similar to HBK and Shawn Michaels, not really brawlers and shootout guys, but guys who can layer a match and sort of let it progress naturally. I think this is the pinnacle example.
But yeah, Cody, what do you say about Steamboat versus Savage?
This is where I'm going to get a lot of hate, and I'm okay with it. I love Macho Man. Literally probably my favorite old school wrestler. But this match gets really bolstered up. I think just wrestling has improved. Wrestling has improved from those moments, and I think they're good. I think it's a great match, but I think there's better technical matches that have played that have been better. And that may be harsh. One is hard to bring up, but I might still bring it up. The others are just overall, I think, better technical wrestled matches. They did great for what the time was. Absolutely. It was leaps and bounds of what wrestling was until WrestleMania 10. It really was. But it just wasn't. It's just never one of those matches that gravitate towards me because they don't have this huge buildup that I want. And Ricky is just too nice of a guy the entire time. And Savage is just not full Savage yet. If this match happened 2 years later, insanity, because Macho was at the height at that point. He's just not at the height of WrestleMania 3, and that's why it loses it on rewatch.
Tim, what do you say about Steamboat versus Savage?
For me, it was a no. I honestly, and I'm going to get the flag. I had Hogan and Andre I was going to throw out later just to see if they get it on the list. But yes, it was a good match for its time. It really was. But I just didn't have it on for rewatching all the WrestleMania matches. It just wasn't. It never really appealed to me watching it, period. It was a good match, but never appealed for like one of the best standout WrestleMania matches.
Sandy, what do you say about Steamboat versus Savage?
It's funny because when I started compiling my list, this was in my head the best match of all time. And so I actually went onto the network and rewatched it. And damn, man, was it boring for most of that match. The only time it gets relatively exciting is when, George the Animal Steel starts to like make his, presence, and ripping things and chasing with that green tongue and hairy back. But it is a great technical match, but I just, if we'd have seen this 2 years later with Savage at where he was in full savagery, I think he would have been able to bring out what Ric Flair was able to bring out in Ricky Steamboat. And I just think that on a rewatch, it looks almost like Steamboat's mailing it in that much, and Savage is the one that's really, really trying to put on a show. I actually liked what they did after that match on TV, and then the build up to their next match, which wasn't at WrestleMania. But I think the match that they did after that match is actually a better match. So in this case, it was a yes for me, but it turned into a no on a rewatch.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I would have said no to this too, because ironically, just like Tim, I also had Hulk versus Warrior on my list to throw out at some stage. But I'm not going to throw that one out, mate, unless I'm really desperate. But yeah, like this is a fun match to watch, but it's one that hasn't aged with time at all.
And you know what? I respect your guys' opinion. I won't say anything about it at all. So.
Thank you, Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah, unless you can't name a Simpsons character. Shut your mouth. You're not so nice of a guy, you piece of shit.
It is a sin that people can't name a fucking Simpsons character. It is literally a sin.
Mary was the daughter, right?
Oh, yeah, Stewie, right?
Same shit, Cody.
Brian?
Fuck.
Cleveland? I don't know.
But anyway, it's back to me, and I'm going to try and get a women's match on this list. And I'm going to throw out the WrestleMania 25 Women's Battle Royale. Just kidding.
Oh my god!
But anyway, but when they got rid of the whole Divas moniker and rebranded it as the WWE Women's Championship, the match we had for the first one there was Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha, and back in I actually did enjoy Becky because I do think she was pretty good sort of early on, and I mean, you could argue that Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha at this point in time were probably considered sort of three of the best in the women's division at this point in time. And I think this match was brilliant, and I do think it was a really great match to sort of solidify that they're getting rid of the whole Divas moniker, the whole Barbie doll model gimmick, and all that, and actually getting into sort of serious and take the women seriously and give them sort of good matches. So yeah, Cody, what do you say about Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha?
Oh, I'd be fine if you said Charlotte versus Sasha, but damn, that Becky Lynch. Oh, she's so bad. Oh, wait, she's fantastic. This match is great. I got in trouble for the last MCU one because I didn't let any women or people of color on the list because apparently I'm a racist and a sexist. So I can't let that keep going.
Apparently.
To break the stigma,
Allegedly.
I'm gonna say yeah because I remember watching this match, and it was starting to build up with Sasha and Charlotte and those matches that they had that were just insane, and they topped it off at WrestleMania, and I thought it was a perfect ending. I think Becky needs to get more credit for who she is. She is a fantastic wrestler. She literally helps all those women sell so many good moves. It's quoted from the wrestlers themselves. And she's way better than what happened in HBK versus Razor Ramon, just to let you know. So yeah.
Brooklyn, what do you say about Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha?
Well, it looks like I am the sexist, racist, misogynic, cisgendered, straight male Catholic. I've never seen this match.
Why are you here?
So, I don't know how. For some reason it's just I watch other women's matches.
Right?
Fair enough.
Braun panties
yeah.
from 2003. Get out of here.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna say no purely because I've never watched it.
Tim, what do you say about Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha?
At this time building up, this was the whole women's revolution they did from the NXT stars coming up when you had Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte and Sasha were like the big come-uppers from at that time with the women's revolution. But all three of these women really sold that, and I thought that match at WrestleMania, all three of them put on a hell of a clinic, a hell of a show in that triple threat match to really show you what women's matches can be now compared to the matches we saw before, the pudding matches, the bra and panties matches, the spanking matches, whatever. This one makes it on the list, I think, because this was a great triple threat from all three around. And sorry, Sandy, Becky Lynch is one of my favorite female wrestlers. That's just how it is.
Sandy, what do you say about Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha?
This match was actually fourth on my list. It is not only a fantastic match, it is absolutely what the women's division should have always been, all the way back to the fabulous Moolah days. They have taken so much of a detour around propping up women other than just big knockers and, stupid gobbledygooker matches and pillow fight matches and lingerie matches and garbage crap like that. Yeah, I know. But it really, the only way this match would have been any better is if it would have been a fatal four-way match with Bayley. To have all the four horsewomen come out there and play in this match would have been fantastic. But the simple fact is I may disagree with the WWE universe in what they think of Becky Lynch, but the simple fact is she's a fantastic wrestler. Charlotte Flair has got she's got the best genes in the business because she has got the dad of Ric Flair stature, and Sasha Banks is electricity personified. She just does whatever it takes. It doesn't matter if it hurts her because she gets hurt a lot. But the simple fact is these three women tore it the frick down. So it is absolutely 100% on my list.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm the same for you when it comes to Becky Lynch. And like, I do think she's a good wrestler. I just think she gets overhyped at times. It's not that I really think she's a terrible wrestler at all. So, but anyway, it goes back to Cody.
Oh, goes back to me. Now you're all in big trouble. So I'm going to bring up a match from the Playboy Pillow Fight. Oh, wait, no, sorry. So this one's, I don't know how it's going to go. So I'm just going to throw it out there. My one comes with Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 21. This is one of those technician matches that is fantastic. The super kick into the ankle lock to the back and forth. They were both at the height of who they both were, really. Shawn was back on the resurgence of who, from the past couple of years. And Kurt Angle was the flipping wrestling machine. He was showing intensity, throwing Shawn around the ring. Again, this goes back to Shawn selling moves better than anybody else. And Kurt being able to take so much damage and take pretty much blunt moves sometimes and make them look, like they were supposed to happen. So yeah, this match was insane. I think there's another match I want to bring up, but I literally can't just for the circumstances surrounding it. From WrestleMania 17, I can't bring up Benoit, so this will have to be the past one that I have to. So I'm going Angle versus Michaels, 21.
Kurt versus Shawn is on the table. Sandy, what do you say about Kurt versus Shawn?
So I had a couple of 2 or 3 Kurt Angle matches that I wanted to have on here. I thought about him versus Brock Lesnar the first time because that was when Brock was really, in shape and could move around the ring like nobody else in wrestling ever could. And Kurt really took that fight to him. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? The Guerrero Brock match is actually a little bit better. And I thought about another Kurt Angle match, but I eventually landed on this one because once again, it comes from, the WrestleMania, and it's such a, like Cody said both these guys are at the absolute peak of their careers. They're both going toe to toe. They're absorbing a ton of damage. These guys just kept coming to each other and just tore the house down with it. So it absolutely gets the yes from me.
Brooklyn, what do you say about Kurt versus Shawn?
Cody, I'm sorry, I have to vote no. When I think about Kurt Angle, there are 2 others that come to mind. I regardless of how Chris Benoit ended his life and what happens, I think he's still an incredible wrestler. I would have nominated Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit before this one here. So I'm just going to vote no.
You would, you Canadian.
Tim, what do you say about Kurt versus Shawn?
This would be definitely easy yes. This is the wrestling machine of Kurt Angle at the top of his game against Mr. WrestleMania Shawn Michaels himself. And both of them threw on a superb technical match. The match itself was just so beautiful to watch. And I think both of them brought their A game with it. Story, I don't remember too much with it, but the match itself is one of those memorable ones just for the back and forth between Kurt and HBK. This would be an easy yes.
Yeah. Sandy, you said yes, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, I just want to double check. So with that, Kurt versus Shawn is on the list. This is one that I just don't remember that much, so it doesn't matter what I say anyway. But I mean, it's made the list anyway. But this is just one that somehow I went through the whole list when I was making all the WrestleManias when I made my list, and this is just one I had on my list to rewatch, but I just didn't get around to actually rewatching it. But it is on the list. But yeah, and it goes back to Sandy. Sandy, what is the next match you're bringing up?
Oh man, what do I put on here now?
Any other first that you'd like to bring up?
Any more moments you'd like to bring up instead of matches?
I got a few more.
Ooh.
All right, I'm gonna.
I hate it when Dad and Uncle Sandy fight.
He gets drunk and says things he's going to regret in the morning.
I'll be looking. The police will be looking for my something on the side of the road, outside the window. All right, I'm gonna go with, and I don't. God damn it! All right, I'm gonna go to WrestleMania 20. I was gonna save this one for a late pick, but I'm going to go with Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero in the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 20. This was possibly the crowning glory of Eddie Guerrero's career. It really jettisoned him into the upper echelons of players, where he'd been a real workhorse for most of his career. This match was just so. It was so good. Back and forth, damage against damage, technical against technical, high flying versus mat technician, and Eddie comes out ahead and wins this match and successfully defends the WWE title against the thing. So I just think that it's a great technical match, but I also think it was super exciting. And one of the best matches on that pay-per-view. Not the best match, but one of the best matches, because that was a pretty weak one for pay-per-views. But that's my pick. Eddie versus Shawn, WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 20.
I'm going to...
Oh, sorry. Angle versus Guerrero.
Angle versus Guerrero, but... this is one that I struggle with, because as much as I like this match, I don't think it is quite top 12. I think if it was a top 15, it would be on there, but I think it's not quite there. So I'm going to say no, but I could be the only one that thinks that. But Tim, what do you say about Kurt versus Eddie?
From that WrestleMania, there are two matches that really stand out for me. That was one of them. I would put this on there, yes. For Eddie and Kurt. I would put this on there.
Brooklyn, what do you say about Kurt versus Eddie?
Yeah.
Cody, what do you say? What would you have said about Kurt versus Eddie?
I absolutely hate what this match started. With like Rey Mysterio, yeah, that's stuff that I don't ever have to relive, because it gave a lot of mid cards the shot at winning titles. Again, this is also a very hard one for me, because I think this match has a very special significance, especially what happens at the end of the night. Again, he was by far my favorite wrestler up to the moment, and I go back and forth because it's hard. But this, correct me if I'm wrong, this is where he like slips out the boot, does the frog splash from the top without his boot on. Yeah. By far, Eddie but see, Eddie did nothing. Eddie didn't have that, like, it doesn't have that weight over it on his death. It's a sad moment. So I have to give this one an absolute yes, because this match is just, those two are super. Eddie was probably the most underrated wrestler in the WWE. He literally sold matches. He told stories through so many different things. The way he lied, he cheated and stealed. It was so good to see. And for him to go against Kurt Angle, at that time, Kurt Angle 2021, that was it. Kurt Angle was at the top of his game, regardless of what he did already before. And having to face them, it has to go on there just for that simple fact.
Tim, it's back to you. What match are you going to bring up next?
The match I think is the better match of the championship matches on that card is Benoit, HBK, and Triple H. Granted, the circumstances of Benoit, whatever. The match itself was just phenomenal, with with even just two of these, with even just like Benoit and Triple H, it would have been good. And you throw in Shawn Michaels with that triple threat with the trifecta and Benoit coming out and winning it at the end with the crossface on Triple H. And just the end of that, regardless of just a moment at the end of it, but the match itself was just so great between those three, of Benoit with his technical wrestling, with HBK always being able to whatever matches he could pop up. Yes, Cody.
No, I have to step away real quick. I just want to get my vote
sorry.
real quick. Yes on this one.
Okay. And then the last thing, of course, with Triple H in this, the game, one of the best at the time. With that, to me, this match would make it.
Who was the third one there? It was Benoit, Triple H. I can't remember the other one.
Shawn
And
Michaels.
HBK.
Yeah. Brooklyn, what do you say about Benoit, Triple H, and HBK?
In theory, this match could have easily been like Triple H versus Shawn Michaels with Chris Benoit as sort of like a third wheel. Considering where Triple H and HBK rank in where they are on the ladder of WWE. But I think this is considered one of the greatest triple threats ever. And it has a good standing. You have HBK, who we've already talked about on like numerous occasions. Triple H, who would go on to do some great matches, but I think it's in this neck of the woods that's his best. And Chris Benoit. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The way that he went out is awful, but he was a great technical wrestler, like a spiritual successor to Bret Hart in the best way. But yeah, I think it's a yes.
Sandy, what do you say about Benoit, Triple H, HBK?
Okay, first off, nobody condones what Chris Benoit did at the end of his life. Nobody condones that. But to gloss over the fact that Chris Benoit was possibly the best technical wrestler, one of the best physical wrestlers out there. He was literally perfection as a wrestler. He was like Dynamite Kid reborn. And to ignore that is folly. This match is, in my opinion, the best triple threat match that's ever been at a WrestleMania. It is, like Brooklyn said, they could have easily just had it be, beat up on, Shawn Michaels and Triple H beat up on Benoit. He spends the most part out on the thing, and they just fight it out in the ring, and eventually one of them gets the pin over them. But they didn't. It was such a great match all the way around. That yes, it gets a yes from me. Once again, what he did was horrible, but it doesn't take away from his accomplishments.
Yeah, as someone who always goes like separate the art from the artist and all that, I do think this match does belong here. And I mean, I don't condone what Benoit did, but like this match is still good, nonetheless. And but I've seen a great meme of someone who completely took out Benoit's face, so it just looks like an invisible ghost is choking out Triple H. And I just found that a very funny meme, which people put out there just for the fun of it. But yeah, but it makes the list, and there we are. Anyway, it's Brooklyn. Back to Brooklyn.
All right, I'm gonna try for this one, but I'm expecting some groans. WrestleMania 20 in the Sky Dome, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Icon versus Icon. Hollywood Hogan versus The Rock.
That's X8.
Pause.
That's X8.
Is Canada different in numbers? Do you get WrestleMania released at a different number? Because that's WrestleMania 18, brother.
That's 18.
Yeah, it is 18, Brooklyn.
It's been a long day.
I can tell because you've been tit deep in beef, but I'm telling you, 18-8-20.
It's close enough.
Sky Dome in Toronto, it's Hogan versus Rock. This is the textbook definition of working with a crowd. They could have easily stayed with the textbook of having Rock being the face, Hogan being the heel, but you saw as the match progresses, they notice how the crowd is reacting, and they naturally progress to Rock being the heel and Hogan being the celebrated wrestler. And I think that takes talent to be aware of where you are in a match. Yeah. All right, let's hear the parade.
Oh God.
Cody, what do you say about Hogan versus Rock?
Fuck no. I'm sorry. Hulk Hogan is a terrible, terrible wrestler. And this isn't just from N18. This is 80s. This dude had 3 moves. For me, believe me, I know, because I lost because Cena had 4. My biggest gripe with this entire thing is I think Rock is great, but there's a better match in 18 that gets overlooked because the crowd was completely dead after this match. This is a literal moment, not match, because they literally stand in the ring for the first 6 minutes and stare at each other and hear Rocky, Rocky, Hogan, Hogan, and it just, they start looking pictures, and then they do that stupid thing. It's my biggest wrestling trope ever. They put the hands out, they grab each other's hands, and one person's bicep is bigger than the other, so they go down to a knee. It's not 1980. He literally had a better match the year before against Austin, and he goes down. This match was sold by names, not by quantity. Triple H and Chris Jericho put on a hell of a match afterwards, but no one talks about it because the audience was asleep. Absolutely no for this match. It's a great moment, not match.
Tim, what do you say about Hogan versus The Rock?
I would have said yes, because it's mostly Rock doing the match, like kind of like with HBK and Flair, where it was mostly HBK.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was, but I still would have gone with this match and threw it out there. That's kind of why I erased it from my list, because Brooklyn already threw it out there. But I would say yes to
it. Sandy, what do you say about Hogan versus The Rock?
All right, so this is again the perfect example of a match of why the WWE universe is stupid, because they sat there for hours practically going Hogan, Hogan, Rocky, Rocky, Hogan, Hogan. The WWE audience is stupid. This is why they love Becky Lynch. Becky, Becky, Becky. They're just sheep. Absolute sheep. I would love for Kalinowski to come in here and teach all of them a thing or two about sheep. So no, this match does not get in there. Cody's 100% right. The next match after this was so much better and got zero reaction because everybody was too throated out from growing Rocky, Rocky, Hogan, Hogan for 2 hours. So no, this match, no, doesn't make it.
So that leaves me to be the tiebreaker, and I'm just going to say fuck no and say it's my turn to throw a bet.
Once again, I respect your opinions.
Well, we tried, Brooklyn.
I don't respect yours.
You smell a lot, like badly. Like I can smell it in here. Like I'm almost gonna pass out from the stench. You need a shower. Do they have water in Missouri?
You smell like beef. Shut your mouth, you dirty hamburger.
You're going to be sleeping next to him when you two go to bed. So,
once again, remember, I will pay good money for the entire video trip. That's all I'm care about. Good money for the entire video trip. That's all I want. I want it first. I want it unedited, and I just want it all. Just all 29,000 hours of it. I want it all.
I'm not recording when I leave them at the Ellis show because that's going to be probably like after dark.
Oh, jeez.
But anyway, the first one that I'm gonna throw out is a tough one for me to pick between two of them, because they're both pretty good. But I'm gonna go with Rock versus Cena from WrestleMania 29.
The first time?
The first
The
one.
second time.
Oh, the second one.
Yeah. The reason I'm picking this one over the first one is because this one they really do show a lot of the thing, and The Rock sort of has gotten. But the first one was pretty much The Rock's kind of getting rid of his ring rust, and to me, it's kind of similar to Rock versus Hogan, in which, in this case, Rock was the Hogan, and they're just not really wrestling as good as this. This one, like, it had a really good angle to it because The Rock had won the title at the Royal Rumble.
From CM Punk.
And it was the storyline of Cena winning the Rumble and going after getting the title off The Rock just so they can have another match because Cena really wanted to prove they could beat The Rock. And with this, he did beat The Rock and took back the title. And this is one of the moments I don't mind when you've got a part-time wrestler holding the title, and if you don't have them hold the title for too long, cough, Brock Lesnar, cough. But this was just a match I really enjoyed, and like the first match was good too, but this one was probably better. Sandy, what do you say about Rock Cena 2?
All right, so everybody on here knows that Cena is one of my favorite wrestlers.
Unfortunately.
And The Rock is one of my favorite wrestlers. I love The Rock. I love Cena. These two matches at WrestleMania were such garbage. They were so bad. Like they weren't good at all. They did this year-long build-up where Rock is in some city that he's in touring for a movie site, and he just shows up on a bridge and he's throwing fruity pebbles and crap in the water, and then Cena's getting under his skin for calling him a part-time person, calling him Dwayne all the time. I usually like big build-ups like this. But this one just fell flat for me. I didn't like the match. I didn't like the second match. It didn't do anything for me at all, except bring a lot of pictures and cameras and movie crew or news crews to the WrestleMania and bringing it up there. And we got to see it on different shows other than wrestling shows. But for a great match, for a great WrestleMania match, nah, come on. There's at least one other Cena match that's at WrestleMania that is better than these matches. I would once again think this would be a moment, and not necessarily a great match. So I have to say no on this one. I mean, it's Rock and Cena, but it just.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that the first match is probably more of a moment than the second one to me, but that's just me. Tim, what do you say about Rock Cena 2?
Yeah, like Cena's one of my favorites. I loved watching him in his early days, and I think his early days were his better matches, and then he became the next Hulk Hogan, so to speak, for the WWE. And I knew the outcome of this after he won the Royal Rumble. The Brock won the title. It's like, oh shit, I know what's going to happen. You don't have to be a mind reader to see what's going to happen. I would say no on this one because I love Cena. I love the Thugonomics days. I love the feuds with Edge and Randy Orton, but this one, it got old real quick for me.
Cody, I know you like John Cena. What do you say about Rock Cena 2?
Oh, yeah, so much. Once in a lifetime. Just
Thank
kidding.
you.
We're going to do it again.
Thank you for bringing that up. I missed it.
Yeah, this one, you picked, even if I was going to let one on, and if this was like top 100 matches, it may be 97. But the second one is the worse than this first one because the second one shows the biggest travesty of all time. The Rock comes back from LA and beats the best wrestler that the company had in CM Punk. Literally took the title off of him and then put CM Punk in the middle of the show, and we lost CM Punk in the WWE. Good job, Vince McMahon. You're a jackass. So yeah, I can't do this for what it did to wrestling and took away one of the best, by far, the best talker on a mic of all time, and took him out of the WWE. And now we have to see Roman Reigns talk. So thanks a lot, Vince. You suck.
Better than
Brooklyn, what would you have said about Rock versus Cena 2?
Oh, sorry. This match is a fucking bore. This match is like watching a young. It's like a young couple figuring out sex for the first time, and then like 5 minutes later, their mom and dad are pulling the driveway, and they're like, "Fuck, we gotta finish this up," and it's just like spot after spot after spot. No, this match is boring. It's not good. You can make an argument for the first one because they do a great job of catching the audience off guard with Rock getting the win. But no, this one is to quote the great Arlie Ermy from Full Metal Jacket is like, you climb like old people fuck. You know that private pile? Like this is awful. It's just
I'm surprised you saw him
bad.
that old.
Anyway, it's back to Cody, and there's 3 spots remaining on the list.
Well, time to fill one of them. WrestleMania 21, the Money in the Bank ladder match, where Edge wins. I think we don't even have to go around the room and say this one gets on, because I think everybody was in agreement last time when we brought Bobby Lashley's matchup. So that's my nominee.
Brooklyn, Money in the Bank match 21. Tim, Money in the Bank match number 1.
See, Cody, why do you have to bring up like hurt feelings and stuff like that, you asshole? But you're a Red Sox fan, so what the fuck do I expect? It's just Dan Skip Allen again.
Boot him!
Shots fired.
Yes, this match would get on the list. I'll give it to Dan. This match gets on the list.
The Sandy Money in the Bank match, Mania 21.
Really? Like Cody said it. Just make the check mark and let's move on to the next one. This is, of course, yes, it's one of the best Money in the Bank ladder matches ever. Not just the best Money in the Bank ladder matches, but one of the best ladder matches, period. So it's absolutely on my list.
But you still brought HBK and Razor up before. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm still going
to
do
vote for his choice. I get the shit.
Yeah, I mean, I know Cody said I didn't need to do this, but I've got to do the formalities anyway, because why not? I would have said Jesse anyway. Sandy,
it's your show. Stand up for yourself, Malcolm.
What match are you going to bring up?
So I'd been waiting on this one to see if I could judge the crowd that we had here today a little bit, and I think that I have. So I've been waiting on this one, but I'm gonna bring it out now. It might not make it, it might, but I am going to say WrestleMania 29, CM Punk versus The Undertaker in the match before the streak ended the next year with him. Like I said before the streak ended, The Undertaker still looked pretty invincible. He was still strong. He was still, Undertaker-y. And CM Punk, I mean, he threw everything and the kitchen sink at The Undertaker and looked like a couple of times that he was going to win. And The Undertaker, like when CM Punk snapped the Anaconda Vice on him and he got out of it, I was like, holy crap, this match is fantastic. And I'm not a big CM Punk fan. I agree with Cody that I think he's the second best person on the microphone. He is most likely the best wrestler on the microphone, but Paul Heyman is still the best person on the mic. He can't argue. But he can argue. He's just not gonna, and I appreciate that. But this match from WrestleMania 29, one of the best matches on the card. And like I said, it was one of the one of the better Undertaker matches that didn't involve Shawn Michaels or Triple H before he went up against Brock Lesnar. So Lesnar Punk WrestleMania 29 is my choice.
Cody, what do you say about Taker versus Punk?
Yeah, well, one cannot argue with Paul Heyman because my trivia career management is resembled after him. So that would be an insult. You're 100% right. He is the greatest talker. But this match, absolutely, I would say. That leaves us one spot left. Hopefully one of them can pick up the correct one to put on. But this match is actually really good. CM Punk, again, screw you, Vince. Good job. You ruined something that could have been wonderful. You could have used the beat the streak for somebody that could have made an epic push and moved them forward, but you just gave it to part-time Brock. This is when Undertaker still had the moments, the flashes that he was still Taker. And again, that Anaconda Vice and Taker looks him straight in the eyes.
Are you kidding me with that?
It's beautiful. So, yeah, I would give the CM Punk versus Taker. Hell yes.
And I mean, actually, from what I've heard, Undertaker actually handpicked Brock to be the one to break the streak. Is kind of from what I've heard.
Listen, sometimes you got to put the old man down and tell him, "How about no, you dumbass."
The correct quote is, "How about no, you crazy Dutch bastard."
How about no, you crazy Dutch bastard.
I don't know. Do we know that Undertaker is Dutch?
I want to fight Malcolm in the street.
Fucking Malcolm. Seriously.
but anyway, like if we can't get Taker Shawn Michaels too on here, Taker versus Punk is probably the good choice because it is a crime we haven't got a Taker match on here yet.
That's kind of true.
So I'm going to say yes to Taker versus Punk. Tim, what do you say about Taker versus Punk?
Oh yeah, this is, and I would have to say the best team on a mic was CM Punk and Paul Heyman. Even though CM Punk didn't need Paul Heyman, but it was still great seeing those two together.
Like Robert doesn't need me.
Well, yes, but
okay.
We'll talk about that later. This I don't care what if the championship was the main event. This was the real main event of that WrestleMania, was CM Punk and Undertaker, because it was just such a great match. Regardless, Undertaker was starting to get old at that time, but Punk was able to really sell that match and give the audience a bang for their buck in that match, and brought the best. And that, to me, was the main event of that WrestleMania, not what we had early or what we had later, but that to me was the main event. So yes.
Brooklyn, what would you have said about Taker versus Punk?
Is this my favorite Undertaker WrestleMania match? But should it be top 12? Sure. This is not one to go back to a whole lot, but yeah, I think the way that Punk is sort of able to like needle Taker into a match, and it's the one time that I kind of go back to like, oh yeah, the promo to this match was actually really good. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
But yeah, I mean, but still, we all agree that the best Undertaker match is Undertaker versus John Cena from last year. The match with little to no build up that just popped out.
This just in: Malcolm has lost Rankum. Giving it to
but anyway, Tim, that's up to you. Can you fill up the final spot on the list?
Oh Lord.
2 hours later.
I got two matches I'd want to throw out there, but I'm going to throw this one out. Probably going to get a lot of flack. I don't care. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great technical match with Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles, WrestleMania 32 in the AT&T Stadium. To me, it was with two great technical wrestlers with AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, we've seen what he can do over the years in matches to really bring the most out of him. And I think even to his age, he can still do that, and he did that with AJ Styles.
Cody, what do you say about Jericho versus AJ Styles?
Oh, so we can't have Taker and Shawn, but we can have AJ versus Jericho. No, Jericho, since he's come back, has annoyed me. One, he's a little bit heavier, a little bit bigger, but he wears tighty whities into the ring, and it really disturbs me because I can't watch the match because I'm afraid that his testicles are going to pop out at any moment. It's a disturbing match, and I don't feel comfortable with him in the ring. 2, AJ Styles is too good of a wrestler for Jericho at that time, so no. 3, Taker versus Shawn should have been the choice, and it should have been the number 1. Shawn versus Taker 1. I would have taken. I'm not saying yes to this one. No, thank you.
Brooklyn, what do you say about Jericho versus AJ?
I'm saying no for the exact same reason as Cody. There's literally a match that we voted no to because the other one was better. So yeah, no. Let's just vote no, and then we'll get to the match that's supposed to be on here. Taker versus HBK 1.
Sandy, what do you say about Jericho versus AJ?
Yeah, you know what? It's unfortunate because AJ took so long to get his head out of his ass and come over to the WWE. We could have had these two in their prime at each other's throats, and that would have been one of the greatest matches of all time. Because it's sad that also with as many matches that we have on here, Jericho hasn't made it on here. But the simple fact is that this match just isn't. It isn't at the caliber of some of the other matches. AJ is great. Chris Jericho is great, but they're not in their prime. So I got to say no just on the fact that there is another match that needs to be on here.
Yeah, this is not the correct Jericho match. So it's no. Brooklyn, you know what to do.
Don't do it.
Go to your heart.
Why do you
don't
do
listen to
that?
peer pressure.
He's literally now going to go opposite.
No, no. There was one more that I wanted to, but I'll just mention it I'll do it in my honorable mentions. HBK versus Undertaker 1. We've all talked about why this needs to be on here. This is a flawless match. This is really a flawless match from HBK. It's Undertaker just waiting for the right moment, and then he strikes precisely and wins. So.
Can we do this like we did the Piano Man and say no to it and piss off Brooklyn? No, I'm just kidding. I give it a yes.
Tim.
Just go down the line. Just go down the fucking line. God fucking damn it.
Yeah, Sandy, you were saying yes to this, obviously.
100% yes. It's not just a great WrestleMania, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches. It's one of the greatest matches of all time. So yeah, it's hands down on the list.
And with that, Taker versus HBK 1 makes the list. And that closes out the list. Cody, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I had a few. The Hardcore Invitational from WrestleMania 2000. Crash Holly wins the Hardcore title. That's when you could have a match any place, anytime. It was beautiful. Also, the Hardcore match from WrestleMania 17. Big Show, Kane, and Raven.
Oh yeah,
that was
match. Good. Yeah.
Another Hardcore match: Edge versus Mick Foley, WrestleMania 22.
That was on my short list.
It was on mine too.
Bastards literally almost killed each other. Austin versus Rock, WrestleMania 19. I think that's a really strong one. Jericho versus HBK, WrestleMania 19. And then Brock versus Angle, WrestleMania 19. The Bastard tried to do a shooting star press. Okay,
I know.
The guy killed himself. It's an insane match in Safeco Field. That was one of the coolest venues they've ever done. And I wish they would do more baseball stadiums because it's kind of a cool setup.
It's still one of the matches that I get hard to watch when he does that because
he's gonna
snaps his head right off, man.
He's gonna die. Yeah.
Brooklyn, did you have any honorable mentions?
So a couple of them have already, one of them has already been said. Edge versus Mick Foley in that fucking insane match. But my other one, hear me out. WrestleMania 33, Lesnar versus Goldberg. That is literally a sprint with a plethora of finishes. Everybody thought that match was going to suck. It's going to be the worst. Would be the worst it's ever. But it caught everybody by surprise, and it was actually really good. they did what they were meant to do, was to literally just do finisher after finisher after finisher and just elevate the stakes, and they did it right.
Yeah, I probably would have shot you down hard if you brought that one up early.
I might have punched you in the face.
I want to say I'm surprised.
But anyway,
Nope.
Tim, what honorable mentions did you have?
All right, going down the list, WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan's triple threat match, WrestleMania 23, the ECW Originals match, 21, Cena and JBL, WrestleMania 15, Austin versus The Rock. And also to throw it out there, because this crazy son of a bitch is one crazy son of a bitch, Shane McMahon and X-Pac in the European Championship match because of just the moves from Shane. WrestleMania 14 with Shawn Michaels and Austin with Tyson. Storyline there. WrestleMania 9 when Yoko beat Brett, and then Hulk Hogan had to be an attention whore and beat Yoko. Undertaker versus a murderer in WrestleMania 7. And Hogan and Savage in WrestleMania 5.
Murderer.
I believe he's referring
legend.
to Superfly.
Yes.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Yes.
Who else got in trouble?
Sandy, what honorable mentions did you have?
Okay, so WrestleMania X8 18 Jericho versus Triple H is a great match. X7 again, I'm going to go back to 17 again, the Triple H versus Undertaker match, which was mid card. I think it was a last man standing match, or was it Falls Count Anywhere?
False count anywhere.
Yeah, and that was a freaking insane. It's actually my
American Badass.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. They beat each other to holy hell and back. Yeah, exactly. Bret Hart versus Piper at WrestleMania 8 for the Intercontinental Championship is a great one. I am going to get 2 groans out of this one. WrestleMania 6, Hogan versus The Undertaker. Yeah, it wasn't a great match. They only have 3 moves each. But yeah, it was WrestleMania 6. Skydome.
Who?
Hogan versus Warrior.
Yeah.
Hogan Warrior.
Oh, you said Hogan versus the Taker, yeah.
Oh no, sorry.
You said Taker. I was like, what?
Yeah.
My bad.
Hogan.
Hogan.
Garbage.
Yeah. It's garbage. It's garbage, but it was fun to watch when you were a kid, seeing the 2 greatest superstars go at it. So, also Daniel Bryan versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30. It was that accumulation of the whole, Raw takeover thing where he was the B+ player. That guess what? Kofi's now the B+ player.
Because Vince doesn't remember storylines.
Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar was already brought up. It's so fantastic. Seriously, he almost breaks his neck. It's just crazy. But the last match I'm going to bring up for my honorable mentions, and it's the one that's going to be the next groaner. It was WrestleMania 7. And it was the Ultimate Warrior versus Macho King Randy Savage for career versus career. Savage completely carried that match the entire time out of it. Sensational Sherry was sensational, doing a heel turn on Savage where she was already a heel. She did a double heel turn on the heel, and Miss Elizabeth came, to rescue Savage. It's crazy nostalgic crap, and that's why I didn't bring them up, because they would have got shot down, because they're not great matches. They're just fun to watch. So, and the last one, another Ultimate Warrior match, Ultimate Warrior versus Sergeant Slaughter, where Slaughter beats him with the scepter and beats him, and then Hogan comes running down, and once again in a classic Hogan moment comes down, gets a match with him, and beats him for the title. So so Sergeant Slaughter had the title for like 2 seconds. So, so those are my honorable mentions.
Yeah, and for me, I had Hogan versus Andre, Hogan versus Savage, Hogan versus Warrior. I had Roddy Piper versus Goldust, the Hollywood backstage brawl. I had HBK versus Steve Austin. I had Triple H versus Mick Foley versus Rock versus Show, the 4-corner McMahon match where they all had a McMahon in their corner. I had John Cena versus HBK. I had Taker versus Triple H. the
Hell
Hell
in a Cell. Yeah, that's a good match.
Yeah. I also had the Daniel Bryan Triple Threat versus Batista Orton. This is one you may groan at me about, but I actually had Braun and Nicholas versus the Bar. I just thought there was these guys
What
entertaining.
the fuck, Malcolm?
Cody, we're gonna in the spirit of this, we're gonna tag team Malcolm on this one. So I'm gonna tag you in, and then when you're done, you're gonna tag me in, and we're just
fucking
gonna
match was him looking for a partner.
But
He ruined Sheamus's whatever. Malcolm, you're crazy.
If it is true, and hold on, the tag comes in. If it is actually true that Nicholas is being thought about for the frickin' Hall of Fame, I want to take C4 and blow the Hall of Fame up because it means nothing. If this little dickhead of a kid gets into the Hall of Fame where people that are actually Hall of Fame worthy still aren't in it, and this little
Okay. But this is also the Hall of Fame that let in fucking Drew Carey.
At least he got beat up. Nicholas just got pulled out of the crowd. Braun Strowman beat everybody up, and then he got handed a belt. That's it. The celebrities that you think that are in there, what's his pickle? Pete Rose got his ass kicked.
What's
The only Hall of Fame Pete Rose.
Oh, Anarchy! It's broken loose. It's broken loose.
Snap! Just triggered. Stupid kid.
But anyway, we'll find out this week if the rumors are true. I don't think they're true because the other rumors I've heard is that it's going to be British Beefcake. He'll get in this week, but yeah, because I mean, I do think that we may get Nicholas in there eventually, but not before the Undertaker gets fucking into the Hall of Fame.
The only way Nicholas should get in is if he grows up, joins the WWE, wins the championship. That's it.
But
It
anyway,
wouldn't surprise me if they put the kid in. It would not surprise me.
God.
I mean, Kid Rock is in there for God's sakes.
Well, yeah, under the musical performers.
But anyway, it's time to get to the fun part of this, which is the actual ranking of the list. And we write down what we want to be at number 12.
This is the part where friendships end.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're already over.
It looks like me and Tim are both already ready.
Yeah, I was ahead of the curve, Malcolm. I do my homework for the show.
Okay, hold on. I got to make sure that I really look over the list here because we always forget one really crappy one that made it in here. And
oh, you shouldn't forget it. You nominated it.
but anyway, but while you're looking on there, Cody, what do you have for 12?
HBK versus Razor. Boo!
Brooklyn, what do you have for 12?
HBK versus Flair.
Tim.
HBK versus Flair.
I've gone on the same line with one of those. I put HBK versus Razor. Sandy, what do you have?
Well, I have an HBK one on here, but it's HBK versus Flair.
He wrote it down after Brooklyn chose board.
Did not.
You see all hands on the screen.
Oh my God.
Sandy is now banned from the community for cheating on a rankum.
Cheating on a rankum. Yeah, sorry, my hand.
You dirty bastard.
Yeah. All right, so now we're doing the next one.
Yeah.
Hands, we got to see hands, everybody.
But I'm going to start with myself on this one. I've still got Razor versus HBK. Sandy, who do you have for 11?
I have HBK versus Razor.
Tim, who do you have for 11?
HBK versus Razor.
Brooklyn.
I have Taker versus CM Punk.
Ooh.
Cody.
Just in case this went longer, I put Razor versus HBK. Boo. Really, guys? I was going to add more as we kept going.
Hey, nice stick. I wonder who did that first.
Your mother doesn't love you.
Ray actually doesn't.
This is actually pretty tough for what's actually
Yeah,
left
Malcolm.
on this list.
You think you included a best of all time from 34 WrestleManias. I'm glad you're struggling. And you literally had Nicholas and Braun.
Hey,
You're worse than Coho trying to get hot takes.
Wow.
there's a reason I left it in my honorable mentions.
Cody,
I
you
just wanna
should never
remind- I just wanna
insult
remind
anyone
everybody
comparing
that,
him to Coho.
If we can get hashtag Cody smells a lot on Twitter, that'd be great.
I heard that already started. It's
But anyway, Cody, what do you have for 10?
CM Punk versus Taker.
Brooklyn, what do you have for 10?
Still Taker versus CM Punk.
Tim, what do you have for 10?
HBK versus Kurt.
Sandy, what do you have for 10?
I have Taker versus Punk.
And I've got Benoit versus Triple H versus HBK.
Well, you're incorrect. It's not.
That's a tie, right?
Dinky doink doink.
No, 3 people had Taker versus Punk.
Yeah, myself. Yeah.
Hey, it made it into the top 10, so that's good.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, guys, this is super hard.
I know, right?
That's what she said.
Not with you. Okay.
Boston sucks. Boston sucks. Wait, what?
Hey, on the 11th through 14th, I'm gonna know where you sleep, Tim. Watch your mouth.
But I'm going to.
I'm not ready.
Cheating, collusion. Don't reveal it. Don't even show it. Guys, I think he wrote an H down. It's probably a good guess because there's a lot of HBK in this shit.
Yeah, there is.
But anyway, I've got Benoit versus Triple H versus HBK still.
Still incorrect.
Sandy, what do you have for 9?
I've got Kurt versus Sean.
He didn't write an H. Oh, he did write one.
Tim, what do you have for 9?
HBK versus Kurt.
Brooklyn, what do you have for 9?
I also have Kurt versus HBK.
Cody, what do you have for 9?
Angle versus HBK. I'm really surprised one match didn't get brought up by Brooklyn yet, but because he clearly hasn't seen it.
It's not a fight worth fighting for at this point.
Well, I think it's met its time. Did you finally get rid of Benoit and HBK and because you stopped fighting that fight?
Maybe. Or I might just be writing it a different way.
This is also the same person that puts out Bohemian Rhapsody for a Queen playlist for fucking like 6-7 turns, just to die on that hill.
Because he did not think it's the best Queen song ever made.
I mean, to me, I personally enjoy more songs from Queen than Bohemian Rhapsody. But anyway, Cody, what do you have for 8?
Is this the real life or just fantasy? Women's triple threat. Sorry, women do not make the top slot.
Sexist.
What do you have for 8?
You're right.
Sorry, me?
Yes, your name is Brooklyn.
Yeah, I sorry, you cut it there a little bit. Yeah, I'm the sexist, racist, cisgendered Catholic pig women's triple threat.
Tim, what do you have for 8?
Kurt versus Eddie.
Sandy, what do you have for 8?
I said Sean versus Brett.
And I actually had Money in the Bank 21, but the women's triple threat is at 8.
And Nico is crying right now.
Good.
I invited Nico.
We are right winged, cisgendered
What are
misogynist.
what are the ones left right now?
All right.
We've
no,
got
you
we've got Rock versus Austin, Sean versus Brett, the TLC triple threat,
Kurt versus Eddie, Benoit versus HBK, Triple H, Money in the Bank 21, and HBK and Taker 1.
Yeah.
All right, this is a nice spot for this one.
But I'm going to go first on this. I've got Money in the Bank 21. Sandy, what do you have for 7?
I have Benoit, Hunter, and Sean.
Tim, what do you have for 7?
I still had Kurt and Eddie.
Brooklyn?
I had the Mania 20 triple threat.
And Cody?
Well, Tim Smith, get ready to decide between these two because I have Money in the Bank WrestleMania 21.
So I get to decide that?
Yep. Yeah, it's between Benoit, Triple H, HBK, and the Money in the Bank 21.
Money in the Bank 21.
So that one is voted for that spot, right? Or you wanted that one over HBK?
No, I'm voting it for the spot, the number 7 spot.
Okay, good.
I'm personally just sad that they decided to make Money in the Bank its own pay-per-view.
WWE likes money.
CM Punk John Cena.
Oh, freaking.
I'm ready.
Yep, I'm ready.
I still love that Sandy writes on a chalkboard. Kills me.
He's old school. You got to respect that.
He's literally fitting his own team name.
He's going to make us all write 100 times on a chalkboard. Don't make fun of my chalkboard.
What Harry Potter movie is that in?
Sorry, you didn't ask what movie was that in 34th during the credits underneath special prop locations.
But
who was the key grip in Prisoner of Azkaban?
You need to know the key grips.
But anyway, Cody, who do you have for 6?
I have person that doesn't let anybody else win, HBK and Chris Benoit for the spot.
Brooklyn, who do you have for 6?
I actually changed it to Kurt versus Eddie.
Time to play the game.
Tim, who do you have for 6?
Kurt versus Eddie.
Sandy, who do you have for 6?
Triple threat, Benoit, Hunter, and Sean.
Which means I'm going to have to decide between the two because I actually had HBK versus Sean. HBK versus
HBK versus Sean.
He fought himself. Do you all remember?
Hey, he tag team. Hey, he tag teamed with God and somehow lost.
Who wins in a WrestleMania match? HBK or Jesus? Super kick goes to Jesus.
But yeah, I'm going to go for the triple threat.
Okay.
You have no soul.
Not going to touch that one.
That's what she said.
I am not touching that one.
I'm going to start a poll. I swear to God, I'm going to start a poll, and it's going to be how many times you think the phrase "that's what she said" is said during Multiplex's trip to the Chicago live event. And then we're going to count it all.
Every response, Coho tried to pick up a female.
No, that's just Mace.
Oh, is Henry going to be there? I mean,
He comes back with these giant red eyes, and we're like, "What happened?" Asked the girl if she wanted to play a fandom match.
There's Cody, like in Friday 2. He's holding him down with a water hose, like he needs 20 minutes.
Why did you get maced, Coho? I told them I was an admin on Joe's.
I asked if she wanted to be in a fandom match in my bedroom, and it got maced.
I asked her if she heard of the Forks, and she faced me.
But yeah, before this gets out of hand,
It's already there.
I've got.
Wasn't ever in hand.
But that's what she said. But I've got HBK versus the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Sandy, who do you have for 5?
I have Eddie versus Angle.
Tim, who do you have for 5?
Kurt versus Eddie.
Brooklyn, who do you have for 5?
How about Kurt versus Eddie? You hoses.
Cody, who do you have for 5?
Kurt versus Eddie. Yeah, freaking horrors. I asked her if she knew who the Forks was, and she stabbed me with a knife.
I have a good one. I asked her if she wanted to shoot for teams.
We love you.
I told her I was a
if
king.
you're watching this.
She stabbed me with the crown. All right.
I told her. I asked her if she wanted to get with the kid.
Are we down to the final 3?
Final
No.
4.
Final 4.
What are they? Taker, Sean Taker, Triple Threat, Austin, Rock, and
Brett versus Sean.
Brett.
Where did I go wrong?
Where did I go
Say after
wrong?
coming back
The
from
moment you said yes to this community. That's what you.
But Cody, what do you have for 4?
They went for an hour, but they've got to stop now. It's HBK versus Brett.
Brooklyn, what do you have for 4?
What he said.
Tim, what do you have for 4?
Taker, HBK 1.
Sandy, what do you have for 4?
HBK Sean. Or HBK Brett.
He played himself again.
Yep.
But I also had HBK Brett.
All right, what do we have left for the last 3? We got Stone Cold versus The Rock. We got the TLC Triple Threat ladder match,
Sean versus Taker.
and Sean versus Taker.
Yeah.
And then we vote number 3 and then vote number 1, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you did your homework, Tim.
I just wanted to double check.
Just. Where are those car parts coming? I thought I ordered them a long time ago. And we've been here for like 2 hours now.
I said fuck you because I don't like you. I said to Brooklyn.
But
why did you make? Sorry, go on. Let's say it after.
Anyway, I've got Rock versus Austin.
Bitch.
Sandy, what do you have for 3?
I have an amazing amount of hate for you right now, Malcolm, for even remotely saying that word is on your, because it's not going to come off of your board now, and I got to see it every time. But no, I said the TLC match.
Tim, what do you have for 3?
HBK Taker 1.
Brooklyn, what do you have for 3?
Rock versus Austin.
Wow.
Cody, can you force one of us to?
It'd basically be me going to tiebreakers.
Who put Sean versus Taker?
I did.
Me and you are in unison. Sean versus Taker. So you get to choose between. Sandy has to choose between Sean versus Taker and Austin versus Rock.
Yeah, Sean versus Taker. I'm not even considering this.
WrestleMania 17, brothers. Can we all just do a watch along one day to WrestleMania 17? It's fantastic.
Oh, my other one for Coho unsuccessfully hitting on women was Coho. Why did you get maced? I asked her if she could spin from the peg, not from the wheel.
Oof. I put my because he put his comebacks on wheeldecide.com. It came up opponent's choice. Okay.
But anyway, Cody, what do you have for number one?
Nothing can top this match. I love the TLC match, but the one that closed it out, it's Rock versus Austin too.
Brooklyn, what do you have for number one?
TLC.
Which I'm okay with either one, to be honest.
What do you have for number one?
Rock versus Austin.
Sandy, what do you have for number one?
Best match ever, Rock versus Austin.
I mean, my vote doesn't mean anything, but I actually had the TLC match.
It's all right. We can do a watch along of both of them and let everybody decide.
Exactly.
I mean, that could be a good idea for watch along. Actually, but
I'm just happy that the two top picks went to WrestleMania 17.
Which is how it should be.
Nice. Fuck, that's a dope list. That's a lot of good wrestling right there. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
To recap the list, at number 12, we've got Shawn versus Flair. At number 11, we've got Shawn versus Razor Ramon. At number 10, we've got Taker versus Punk. At 9, we've got Kurt versus HBK. At 8, we've got Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha. At 7, we've got Money in the Bank from Mania 21. At 6, we've got Benoit versus Triple H versus HBK. At 5, we've got Kurt versus Eddie. At 4, we've got HBK versus Brett. At 3, we've got HBK versus Taker. I actually accidentally wrote Triple H, but never mind. At 2, we've got the team's TLC ladder match from Mania 17. And number 1, we've got Rock versus Austin, which, once again, I don't have a problem with that being number 1 either, because to me, they're always going to be between the two Mania 17 ones. But I mean, this is a great list. I'll have a new poll up for next week shortly after this, and next week is going to be a different kind of ranking because I'll still be on the call hosting it, but it'll be down to but I'll have nothing to say in the decisions because it's going to be a Game of Thrones list in honor of the last season coming.
Is that the one with the lightsabers, Malcolm? Or I can't tell. They're all the same.
The
Vulcans in the stars, right?
You just lost
You shut your
voodoo,
mouth,
Tim.
Code. Or
You just
Brooklyn.
lost my voodoo, Tim.
But anyway, it should be a fun list. But let's find out where we can find everyone. Cody, where can we find you online?
You can find me everywhere in this community. I pop up all over the place. The main things that I help with is Nerdgasm with Brooklyn, Full Metal Geek over at Full Metal, Multiplex Entertainment. I host and now am kind of co-runner of Warzone. We're launching a teams tournament. It's going to be a blast. You can also find me as the movie Battleground champion. That's not going anywhere, just to let you know. And you can also find me backing the Fellowship in all the various trivia leagues because they're the greatest guys in this community.
Yeah, no, I mean, I heard a rumor that if you say Cody's name 3 times, he'll pop up in your house and tell you that you're wrong. But
You're not wrong. It's actually 4. But...
But Brooklyn, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the real BK10. That I wrote out the word. You can also find me right here at Tate Productions, running that one with 2 shows. Shoebox Trivia on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out Robert Adams versus Thaddeus Smith tomorrow. And then the week after is going to be Jukebox Heads Up Volume 3. 8 players enter, 1 person remains to take on Luca for the singles championship. Where we also have debates and countdowns where Cody is actually the champion, but I guess he forgot about that part. Also on Multiplex, running Nerdgasm at some point. It's been fucking rough. Other thing, Holy Cow Burgers and Wings. You can find me there. Burger Love 2018. If you're from BEI and you're watching this, be sure to come to Holy Cow and get our Burger the Hoedown as we hope to win this year for PEI Burger Love among 85 other restaurants.
I mean, I would order it, but Uber Eats doesn't deliver burgers all the way from Canada to New Zealand. It just doesn't work that way. Tim, where can people find you online?
You can find me all over the place. Sometimes popping up. First time here on Rankum. You can find me losing a movie match here or there in Full Metal. I'm still waiting on my Full Metal random Power Rangers match. I'll get on that. But you can mainly find me over at Multiplex, trying to secure the back door because Brooklyn and Cody already got in. So I'm really trying to find a way to find a lock for that back door. So you can find me over there with TV, movies, fandom, Nerdgasm, which is always fun. And, you can find me over there. It's great stuff.
And Sandy, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me over at Full Metal Trivia. We're starting up our Full Metal teams and singles tournaments starting in the next week. Probably the next week or two. So we're taping them, of course, and then they'll be released sometime in April. You guys can find me on here at Take 3 or at Take 3 Productions with Matt Kearns with Rhyme and Reason, and as part of Late Night with Take 3 every Thursday night. You guys can find me over at Multiplex where I play everything. I even got snowballed into playing a Nerdgasm match, which I sucked drastically at, but it was a lot of fun. And you guys can find me at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Letterboxd at srobinson1799. Thanks so much, guys. This was a lot of fun.
And you can find me on Take 3 hosting Rankum every Sunday night. Next week will be a Game of Thrones list, as I said. You can also find me on Full Metal hosting Full Metal Random this week. No coincidence, but we've got a Game of Thrones match with Robert Parker taking on Jim Green, taking on Dominic Loudmouth Rizzi. But which will be a fun match. I've seen the questions, and there are definitely some good questions there. But anyway, you can also find me on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Stardust at Melkor, and also helping Tim co-write TV Throwdown. But until next week, keep listing shit.